Warning, the following does not contain footage from the Dragons and the Dolphins and the Panthers-Raiders game due to editing issues.
Guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to my NRL Round 5 recap. That was an absolutely insane round of rugby league. There is so much to talk about. We're at an all-time high. We're at the peak of rugby league to what we have ever seen. More golden point games than ever. A draw. There is so much to discuss. Let's get into a recap of round 5. Let's go back to Thursday night where the Parramatta Eels were defeated by the Sydney Roosters 28 points to 20. I tell you right now that this scoreline definitely flattered the Eels because they were flat in this game. Going off last week's performance against Penrith, it was a massive step back in the wrong direction, and I'm really worried about the signs for this club at the moment, at least moving forward. I thought once again Will Penasini was great. Bailey Simonson made some very silly decisions in this game, and it's going to cost him a few weeks on the sidelines. So it's going to be interesting to see Sean Russell or Hayes Dunster come back into our side for the next few weeks. We have a big clash against the Tigers, but another L starting the season, 1 win, 4 losses is not great. As for the Roosters, I thought they were fantastic. Joseph Swalihi did a great job at fullback in the absence of James Tedesco. No Joey Manu there. A lot of people started to kind of write the Roosters off in the game that I was speaking to, so this is over. But look, they started well, got the job done, and ultimately, as I said, the scoreline flattered the Parramatta Eels because the Roosters were all over them in that game. But their 4-pack was good. Jabriya Hargraves had some good stints on there. Drew Hutchinson did a great job in the centres. He definitely silenced some of the haters, including myself, for that match, and playing in that position. He's been quite solid this year. Daniel Tupou, definitely some errors in the match, but I thought overall he's probably my man of the match. Thought he had a massive game, came up with some big plays. And then second best on ground, probably Luke Keary. I thought some of the setup plays between, they're really gelling nicely, both Walker, Keary and Smith as a 6-7-9 combination. It's really starting to work. It's looking dangerous for some teams, but a great win for the Roosters. Not only that, it is their 3rd win in a row. Now the Friday night game saw the Melbourne Storm head to Accor Stadium against the South Sydney Rabbitohs, and I thought I was taking a bit of a risk tipping the Storm, but I had a bit of confidence because Melbourne Storm have never won the Rabbitohs have never won back-to-back games against the Melbourne Storm, and look, they beat them last year in a position, but with Munster coming back into the side, I thought young Jonah Pezet was playing well against the Tigers. I decided to roll the dice and tip them. Worked in my favour. I tipped them by 6. They won by 8. Campbell Graham was one of the best bets for the week in try scorers, and we got that one. Yeah, not much to say here. I thought Josh King had a really good game, playing at lock for the Storm. I thought Campbell Graham was involved for the Rabbitohs. The Rabbitohs were quiet. There was a good a setup play to try and get Latrell over the try line. It didn't end up working, but it was a nice play. Alex Johnston's going to be a big loss for them against the Bulldogs this week. Looks like Alex Johnston will be out after a head knock. So, yeah, the Rabbitohs, hard to get a read on at the moment. I thought they were looking like the real deal-ish, but they've been a bit questionable. So I'm going to just keep my eye on them in the next couple of weeks. And again, they should be beating the Bulldogs on Friday, but the Bulldogs are going to take a lot of confidence, and it's a very new-look team to the team that normally put a massive scoreline on, which normally happens. But as for the Melbourne Storm, as I mentioned, I thought Jonah Pezet, once again, looking good. It was all Munster. He set up a lot, had a great game, and the Melbourne Storm are back in the top 8, I believe, for the first time this season, since round 1. 3 o'clock game in Mudgee saw a draw between the Manly Sea Eagles and the Newcastle Knights. Look, Manly started this game well and looked like they could go on with the game. But the Knights, I tell you what, they have some grit and determination in 2023. They do not look like a wooden spoon team. Obviously, there is a team that I'll be speaking about that look like the wooden spoon team, but there is a long way to go in the season. But the Knights, even without some of their players, in those moments, they've come up with some nice plays to try and get them back into the game. And sometimes they haven't worked out. But I really like what this team is doing. I thought Dominic Young was a great inclusion back in the side, late change. At least he scored 4 tries. I nearly said 5, but it was 4 tries in the match, so a great effort from him. Jerry Evans was really off in this game. Couldn't kick a field goal if his life depended on it. I'll tell you what, he's the master of field goal. Jackson Hastings was outstanding. I'd go as far as saying that Jackson Hastings was probably the best on the field on the day. I thought he was really, really good in this game. I thought Ruben Garrick, I think he scored a late try, but I thought he was really quiet. I thought some of Manly's attack was questionable. Another team that seems to not be kicking too much on fifth tackle, and those type of plays are really, really silly. But look, ended up in a draw. It really did go down to the wire, and if you've seen the TikTok, you know that I had Manly to win by 1 when it was 28 all, so I was really losing it at the TV and the Manly Seagulls. But an enjoyable game of footy at Mudgee, and a very close game to be the first draw since 2020. Final game of Super Saturday saw the Brisbane Broncos and the West Tigers. The Tigers have a good record in recent years against the Broncos, but obviously they haven't started their season well, and it just went from bad to worse. I put out a whole video on the problems going on at the West Tigers right now, but look, what can I say? Appy is trying. You can see Appy trying clearly on the field. I wouldn't say Isaiah Papali'i's trying. I think he looks like he doesn't want to be there. Clearly said it last year in the transition to the club as well. And a lot of issues going on for that club, man. Disappointing to see that it just keeps going on every year. Nothing changes. You want to kind of see, you know, an upset win against the besides against the Parramatta Eels this week. But I take nothing away for the Brisbane Broncos. Jordan Ricky was outstanding. I believe he scored a double in this match. He had a great game. Reece Walsh, he didn't score in the game, but he definitely set up a lot. He was fantastic. Adam Reynolds, his kicking game was quite good as well. I didn't get to watch all of the game. Most of the game I did watch on mute, which is pretty weird, but it was on at a restaurant and I was out. So yeah, the Broncos, they've started the season 5 wins, 0 losses. So they, right now, are a team to be reckoned with. Moving on to Super Sunday, one of the best games of football that I've watched in a long time. It was such a quality freaking game, man. You had the Cronulla Sharks score in the first minute. You had the Sharks go into the sheds half-time with a 14-point advantage or a 16-point advantage. I think it was 14, 20-6 over the Warriors. And the Warriors, they've been good this year, and I was wrong about the Warriors. I'm happy to say it. I tipped the Sharks 13 plus. I was wrong about the New Zealand Warriors, man. The resilience, the fight. They didn't even need refereeing calls to get back into their game. They just got together as a team and said, we can do this. They are a different side. Not many Warriors teams in the last 20 years, if any, would be able to win that game. This is a strong playing group under Andrew Webster. He's doing an awesome job at coach. And as I said, the Sharks, we all thought, or a lot of people thought, they were going to go on with it with this score, the way they were coming up with points, their lethal attack, talking about Nico Hines. But Sean Johnson just pulled the game and forced it the Warriors' way. And it went right down to the wire with Sean Johnson getting a penalty goal in the pouring rain and Cronulla getting a penalty on the siren to send it into Golden Point was absolute madness. If you haven't seen this game of football, I recommend it. It is a really, really good game of football. It is as good as that Parramatta Melbourne game in the rain. I almost said last year, but I think it was the year before. Parramatta Melbourne in the rain, pouring conditions, high completions, a few tries in the game. This was a try fest, this one obviously, but nonetheless, a great game of footy. Now, the refereeing was really questionable. Some of the sin bins and penalties given away, really, really shocking calls, and you can argue that the game has gone soft. But I'm not going to do that typical stance on it. But as I've mentioned, I thought some of the refereeing was quite poor in the game. As for the flow of the game and the quality of the game, congratulations to the New Zealand Warriors. And the final game of the round saw the Canterbury Bulldogs at home with Josh Reynolds returning to their side against the North Queensland Cowboys. And this game was all the Cowboys, man. The Cowboys led it 14 points to 6. They led it 8-6 for a while. They, early on, it was 8-0, and then they looked like they had the job done. But Matt Burton, my man of the match, in my opinion, I could argue Jacob Preston, and I reckon there'll be people in the comments saying, nah, Jacob Preston was man of the match. He had a fantastic game, scoring a double. He had a broken finger, I believe, as well. He was getting that repaired, stitched up, bandaged up, whatever I want to say there. But Matt Burton put it on a string, put it on a platter, and delivered in the most big play. The Fox and Burton combination is working so well. I can't wait. I'm going to the Bulldogs and the Rabbitohs on Friday. I can't wait. I'm getting behind the doggy for this one. I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to tip, but I'm getting behind the doggies for the game day vlog. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm looking forward to seeing this Fox and Burton at Accor Stadium. They always deliver, and in this game they delivered. I thought Tom Chester for the Cowboys in Scott Drinkwater's absence, I thought he's been okay in recent weeks. I thought he was great, especially in those conditions. Taumalolo was pretty good. I thought Taumalolo was quite involved in that game as well. But for me, Matt Burton and Jacob Preston were my man of the match, and it ended a fantastic round of footy, guys. Let me know what was your favourite game of the round. Me personally, it is the Sharks and the Warriors. It'll be up there for a contender of the game of the year. But guys, if you're new around here, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for my round 6 tip.